Looks like this is a time. And as I said, if you have any question at any point of time, you can write us in the chat box or in the question and answer session. And if you want me to repeat something that you do not get or do not understand, just write us and I'm gonna do that for you. And at the end of the presentation, if you want the copy of this presentation that I have prepared for you, you can write us your email address. Kafaya is with me. Also on this session, she's a moderator and she can email you the presentation if you like to. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start with some of the basics. So if you, for example, this is Google. I just went to Google, and if I want to know about something, for example, if I want to know about Omaha, I put Omaha in the search engine and I get a lot of links here. As you know, all of us know that how we can find out the things that we would like to find on internet. So for example, if I want to look into one of the link, I click here and I go to a page that is set up as a website. You can see that is an Omaha Warhol page. And then as I scroll down this page, I will see there are images, there may be videos, there may be audios. There are so many things that I can see on this page here. All of them, it is a web of HTML. This has been set up in HTML. Well, there can be more languages that has been set up in. People use WordPress. There are so many other resources they use to set up the website, but the basic of them, all of them is HTML. So if you go here and you see all the links, so for example, if you want to see how does the code look behind all of these things here. So I'm gonna switch off my video here and make more space for me here. So for example, if I'm here and if I want to see how does the code look like, I'm gonna do right click on any of the content of the code that I would like to find. And I will see an option which says inspect. If I click on inspect here, it will open a different page for me on the right-hand side. As you can see my screen, then on the left-hand side, I have the same content that I was looking for earlier. And on the right-hand side, I have the code for that content. That is the code for HTML, a language that has been written. So you will see there's a different code, element styles, and there's a CSS. So CSS is an advanced for HTML, which is used for making borders, making different color of alphabets, different color of font that we use, different sizes. So you will see all the HTML and CSS code here. And then on the left-hand side, the code that I'm reading is display block, margin block, start. So the broad idea is here to say that you can click on inspect and you can see the HTML code that has been written for that specific page or for a specific word or for that specific paragraph. So on the left-hand side, it's called the front end. On the right-hand side, it's called the back end. Front end is the thing that you see as a front-end user, and the back end is which developer develop for you. So whoever writing this code for this page on a website, they have access to back end of the code, and they can write the code, they can manipulate the code, they can edit the code according to whatever news we have, whatever information we have, and all the content. And if they want to change, they can change the font size, font family, body, whatever thing we see here, they can change all of this information. So you may have this question that we may be able to change this, as we can see it on the right-hand side. Well, to answer to this is no. You can see it as a front-end user that how code has been written, but you won't be able to change it unless you do not have access to change the code. You have to have an access to change the code. It's like a credential, like a username and password for your email address you have, or maybe you may have it for your Canvas, Blackboard for learning management system. That will allow entry to you into the backend where you can edit and change the code. So before we go ahead and start learning about HTML, this is very important to understand that what is backend and what is front end, and who has access to front end, all of us. Who has access to back end? Only the people who have authentic access to go into back end and change the code for themselves. So if you have any question about this, you can ask me. And then otherwise, we can go here and start about introduction to HTML. The big idea to learn from here is that there is a front end and back end is written in HTML, all the developing languages. And what people see as a front end user, which is on the left hand side, you can make changes to right hand side, but for the people only who have access, and it can be changed for the front end user whenever they want to. So let's go ahead and go to our presentation called Introduction to HTML. So the first slide is what is HTML? So HTML, known as, that's the full form of, HTML is an abbreviation. The full form of HTML is Hypertext Markup Language. It is a language used to create web pages. Using HTML, you can create a web page with text, graphics, sound, and video. So as we just saw, that this was created in HTML, and we saw there are images, there can be audio, there can be video, there can be text, there can be different form of text, there can be different color of text, different sizes, font sizes, bold, italics. There can be so many things. There can be border, you can decorate the page, and then you can advance, you can use CSS in HTML to make more things happening in HTML. So this is what HTML is necessarily used for. And as I said earlier, you can use other languages, you can use other platforms, I'm sorry, not languages, other platform to make web pages or websites, or just one page. Like WordPress is a very good example. So you do things in WordPress, but in the backend, it writes the code for you in HTML. So this is a basic building, basic thing for making website and web pages. So next we go further, and we are going to talk a lot about tags now. So what are tags? The tags is like a building block for HTML. You can say that the building block for human body is cell. So you make a lot of cells, like million of cells, and you make like a human body or an organ in the pretty similar way, in the pretty similar fashion. When you write different tags, when you write different tag for different things that you want to do, you can create a web page. And you can there has to be a different tag for specific thing that you would like to do for your front end user to see. The essence of HTML programming is tags. A tag is a keyword enclosed by angle brackets, and there's an example. So this is an example of a tag. How does a tag look like? It looks like a word in the middle of angle brackets. So there is an I tag here in the middle of the angle brackets. We are going to go further and learn about what kind of tags there may be and what kind of specific tag would do, with a very good examples here in a few minutes. And then there are opening and closing tag for many, but not all tags. The affected text is between the two tags. So in HTML language, what you do is you open a tag, and whatever tag you open, you close that tag in order to make sure only between opening and closing, whatever text you write between the two tags, that is going to be affected. So there's an opening tag, there's a closing tag. Whatever you write between these two tags, opening and closing, that text is going to be affected by that specific tag. You may not, it may sound a little bit, that you may not be getting it. We're going to see a very good example here, and then you're going to see how does this work. And then there's an opening and closing tag for many tags, but for not all the tags. We're going to see that in a minute too. So let's go ahead and to the next slide. And the second is very good example to understand more about the tags. It says, for example, the expression warning could be used and warning to be appear in the bold on a web page. So let's take an example. For example, if I'm writing a web page, and I want to write that web page and I want warning to be in the bold letters. I have to write warning when I start the page, and I have to write that in the bold letters. So if I have to do that, there's a specific tag for P. You see there's an angle bracket here. So I'm going to write warning between these two tags. It's the same tag. One is the opening tag, which is angle bracket B, and another is a closing tag, which is angle bracket B with a forward slash. So whenever you close a tag, you add another forward slash, extra forward slash, to make sure that this is a closing tag. The opening and the closing tag use the same command, except the closing tag contains an additional forward slash. So if I want to write warning on a web page, and if I want to write that in a bold letter, what code I'm going to use? I'm going to use this code. And as we can see from the previous slide, from the last line, it says the affected text is between the two tags. So this is my opening tag here. This is my closing tag here. And between these two tags, I have warning. So warning is the word that is going to be affected, and it is going to be appear in bold on that specific web page. Let's go ahead to one of our resources. That is what I'm going to discuss today. It's a very nice resource, and it's completely free online. And then if you want, you can open this resource on your computer or any other device that you're using, and you can also see and do some practice with me. So the name of the resource is w3schools.com. And this resource just doesn't have HTML. It has more languages. It has a lot of them actually. It has, you can see from here, there's HTML, CSS, and then there's a Java, SQL, PHP, and C++, and so many things here. So if you have interest in any other language to learn, you can go here and you can use it for absolutely free. So we are talking about HTML. So let's go to HTML today. HTML, just clicked on HTML. It says HTML Home, Introduction, Editor, Basic. So the thing that I'm going to show you here is HTML Basic. We are going to talk about here for all the tags, because all we want to learn about tags so that we can see how do they work and what changes they can make on the website page that we are making. So let's go here. So how does this website work? You go to w3schools.com, you choose whatever topic you want to learn, and there's a navigation on HTML tutorial. There will be different things here. You click on the specific thing that you want to see, and it will bring you a page like this. And then there will be an option which says try it yourself. So you click on try it yourself, and this is going to take you to another page. So now what we are doing is we are learning a very basic HTML web page. If we want to make a HTML web page with basic, we can use the code on the left-hand side here. So on this page, on the left-hand side, let me get this annotation here. So on the page, on the left-hand side, so this is the code on the left-hand side, C, and this is on the right-hand side, this is the front-end user, the web page. I'm gonna call it F as front, and this is C as code. So on the left-hand side, there's code for the page that is on the right-hand side. So if you want to write a code for my first heading and my first paragraph, as you see on the right-hand side, you have to write a code on left-hand side for that specific page. And as we all know that HTML is all about tags, so we have to write some specific tags on our left-hand side code in order to write a page for right-hand side front-end page. So now I'm going to see, and now I'm going to see, and how does my code look like? So my code look like doc type HTML. So the first tag here is doc type HTML, which means that is a document type HTML. This does not necessarily have any relation to the code that has been written here. This is just an indication of telling us that this is a document which has a type of HTML. And the next we have HTML. This would be the first tag for any HTML website page that you want to write. So we opened an HTML tag, and then we close the HTML tag here. You will see at the end there's a HTML tag again, the same tag but with a forward slash. We just learned from our presentation here that opening and closing tag use the same command, except the closing tag contains an additional forward slash. This is the same concept here. We are opening HTML tag here, and then we close our HTML tag. So HTML tag closed with a forward slash. And then there's a body tag, and then there is a body tag, closing tag with a forward slash. So body is the part, so whatever you write in the body is going to be appear in the page. Like you write a letter to someone, you write an email to someone, you first write the salutation, hi, hello, good morning, and then you write the body of the email, and then you write the salutation again. So you can understand in a similar fashion. You write HTML, that this is the HTML type document, and then you write HTML, close the tag again, and then you write the body, and then whatever you write in the body, that is going to be appear on the page here. So on the body, in the body, we have more tags here. Let's talk about those tags, because those are, the tag which are giving, which are making this document on the web page on the right-hand side. So first, I have H1 tag. So see, I'm opening H1 tag here, and I'm closing the H1 tag here with the forward slash. And then I have a P tag here, and then I'm closing the same P tag with a forward slash here. So H1 tag is for the heading. If I want to make heading of any document, I'll start with H1. That's the heading of my web page that I'm writing. And it says my first heading, and then I'm closing the tag, and then there's a paragraph. So whatever paragraph that I'm writing is, I am closing it with the P, and I'm ending it with the P and with an extra forward slash here. So, and if you remember, the most important line here we discussed earlier, that the affected text is between the two tags. This is what we are going to see. How does it changes whatever we write between those two tags. So heading is here. My first heading, we have an opening tag when we have a closing tag. So for example, if I want to write my first HTML class as a heading of this document. So let's take an example. If I am doing a project for my first heading, first HTML class, and I'm using this as an example, and I want to show this on a web page to someone. So I'm going to write my first HTML class with a heading tag H1 and H1 and H. I'm going to explain this to you later why there is H1, because this can be a very a very specific question for someone, why we are doing H1 and why we are not doing P1 for P. And then if I want to write for paragraph, I can just change what I'm going to write here. So I'm going to write my first digital class, my first Zoom class, let's say. So if I'm going to run this, I just changed the code. I just edited the code, and then I'm going to change this code. And then I'm going to run this code. There's a run option here. I'm going to run the code. I'm going to see how does it affect on the right-hand side. And the right-hand side is the code, what front-end user can see after back-end a user run the code. So I'm going to click on run here, and I'm going to see that these things just change. They change to my first HTML class and my first Zoom class. So how did they change? I just changed the context that was written between two tags for H1 and also for P, paragraph. So this is a very important thing to understand, which was also in our presentation, that affected text is between the two tags. So whatever you write between the two tags, And two tags here means the closing tag and the opening tag. Whatever you write between these two tags, that thing is, after you run the code, that thing is going to change. So I can just write whatever I want here. If I want to make my heading bigger, I can just make as big as of heading I want. And if I want to, write more in this paragraph, I can just write it as a paragraph. And if I click on run, you're going to see this is going to change. And this is going to be exactly the same what I am going to write on the left-hand side. So very important to understand, this is like basic of HTML, folks, basic of a HTML page, basic of a HTML, basic of an HTML page, how you start HTML and how you write a basic example of a page in HTML. So I'm going to take a pause here for 2 minutes and give you time to ask if you have any questions about the understanding of how does tag work and how do you run the code. And I'm going to explain you in a minute why we use H1. H1 is for heading, P is for paragraph. We are going to talk about more example of tags. So just try to understand this as whatever you want to do on a page, whatever you want to do on a specific page, whatever content you want to write, whatever color you want, whatever font size you want, whatever heading size you want, how many paragraphs you want. It's just all depends upon what kind of tag you are going to use, because that's the basic feature of HTML. You have to know the tag of specific thing that you are going to do in HTML page. So as I said, I'm going to take a pause here. If you have any questions, please write us in the chat box or in the question and answer session, and I'm going to answer that for you. And after those questions, if we may have some, we're going to go in the more detail of tags and more example of tags. And I'm going to explain you about H1, why H1 and why not P1. Looks like we do not have any questions. If at any point of time, if you have any questions, you can write me and then I'm going to answer that for you. So let's go further here. So this was an example of a basic page, how we can make a page here. Let me delete this annotation before we go forward. Okay, so let me explain first of all why we have H1 and why we do not have P1. So whenever you have H1 or H2, any number in HTML language, that correlates to the size of the heading or size of that specific thing. So H1 goes till H1 to H7. So for example, if sometime you have more, if you're writing a web page or if you're writing a normal document, you may have more than one headings. And when you have more than one heading, you want to change the size of the heading, or you want to make the subheadings. So if you want to make the subheadings, you want to decrease the size. And if you have subheading of subheadings, then you want to keep decreasing the size to make a differentiation that how does your document look like. So that is why we have a size for this. So for example, if I want to if my first HTML class is a subheading or it's a second heading and I want to change the size, I can just go here and I can just change it to H2. And when I'm going to change it to H2 and click on run, the size is going to decrease. Did you see the size just decreased here? So you can go up to H2 to H1 to H7 and the size will keep on decreasing. And that helps you to write different different, different sizes of headlines. And you can also do it in different fonts, and you can also do it in different things. We will see in the further context that how we can do it for different italic things we write and all those things. We can keep changing the sizes of a specific thing that we're writing on our web page. And then, the one thing that I would like to mention here is, for example, if I want to change it to H1 again, and then if I have H1 here, and then I still have H2, you will see that H2 color will change into red. This is a very good example of HTML and all the HTML resources, that if you write a code that is wrong, what happens is it's going to turn its color into red, and it's going to tell you that this is the wrong code and you should change that code. So it helps you. It helps you a lot when you're a beginner, because when I used to learn, and I use Siebel is another code runner, and that's also free. So I use that for my code running, and then when it turns into red, I can see that there is something wrong with my code, and I should go and check and change my code where it can be wrong. So it's showing me it's wrong here, so I can go ahead and change, and I'm going to click on the run, and then it's going to work again. Okay, so this was the basic example of the page. So we just learned about more tags here. So as we discussed, B warning can be another. So for example, if I want to test this tag here, I can go to my example. And if I want to add this, I can just copy and paste. And if I can click on run, I will see that there's a warning, and which is just a warning. It's not a heading, but it's in bold. So if I want to write something, in bold, I can just use B tag, B with angle bracket, B with angle brackets. And I'm going to close the tag. I'm going to add a / in front of B. So let's go further here, excuse me, and talk about nested tag. So what are nested tags? Nested tags are tags wherever you use more than 2 tags. They can be nested with each other. Whenever you have HTML tags with other HTML tags, you must close the nearest tag first. So this is the rule, of HTML. If you do not do this rule, you are going to have an error on your code. You must follow this rule. So there's an example here. So this is the code that we are going to write. So this is H1, and then I, and then nation, the word nation, the affected text would be the nation, and then we are closing the I tag and the heading tag. So I is the tag to writing something into italics. And as we go further here, let me tell you, there are so many examples that HTML is pretty similar to MS Word. We use I for writing italics, we use B for bold, and as you will go further, we'll do examples of more tags here. You will see they have a very much similarity with MS Word. So if you have used MS Word, and if you know about MS Word, and if you have done writing of some documents in MS Word, it's going to be easier for you to understand and remember the tags. It's not like you have to remember those, but it just makes it easy because they're like same interface and have a lot of similarity. So coming back to nested tag. So whenever you are writing, whenever you are using more than 2 tags, you can use 2 tags, but then the rule is you have to close the tag which is nearest to the affected text. So I'm writing this tag here, H1, I'm writing this for heading. I am writing this for making this italics. The word is the nation that I'm using as a heading and I want to write it in italics. So whenever I'm closing this, I have to close I tag first. Why I have to close I tag first? Because I is the one that is closer to the nation. So I have to close I first, and then I have to close H because it is further from the nation. If we want to see the example, how does this work? So we are just going to go here and copy and paste. So there's a code for us, and we want to click on run. You're going to see that there's a word, the nation, as H1 heading, and then also it's in italics because we use I tag. And this is an example of nested tag. And you will see that my first HTML class and the nation, they are the same size because we used H1 tag for them, which is heading tag. So you can write a document with more than one heading and more than main one heading, so they use the same sizes. So that's why it's the H1 for you can use H1 for the same size of the headings that you want to. Let's go further here and structure of a web page. The next slide is structure of web page. So this is pretty much the same thing that we did with HTML schools, W3 schools, I'm sorry. You will see that there's all web page share a common structure. So there's a common structure to run, web page that is pretty consistent throughout all the page, which we just, understood from the example we did. All web pages should contain a pair of HTML. Why pair of HTML? We know this because one is closing and one is ending tag. Head, we know there should be a head, title, and body tags. Body tags where we write all the things. Head is if we want a header. Title, you may not have a title, or you may have a title if you want a title for the page. So title of the page, that will not be in the body. That is very important to understand here. So whatever you write in the body, that is the context that is going to be appear on the front end, on the web page. The title is what is going to be appear in the search engine. Like going back to our previous example here, when I just typed Omaha in the Google search, if I go back here, I think I can go. Yeah, if I did Omaha here and then Omaha News, Omaha World, Omaha Wikipedia, Omaha Nebraska, whatever thing I'm seeing here as a title of the page, that consists this title of the page, and that will not be in the body of the page. So when I click on this link, and if I go further, this does not include on the page. So that is the difference here between title and in the body of the page. So if you want, we can just do a little bit test here. So we can just copy this and we can go back to our basic example that we are doing. We can delete all of this we did for practice and we can paste this. So now we have title as an example and head and body. And if we click on this run, we're going to see we are going to see just the body of the page. We are not going to see the example because that is the name of the page, title of the page. And also, if you can see that we are not seeing any heading or any paragraph because we do not have any heading or paragraph in the body. We just have normal text, and that is going to be a text for us. I hope you made the differentiation about this, and I hope you're getting me so far. Please write me if you have any questions. Let's go further here, and then we're going to talk about title tag. We just talked about title tag. What is a title tag? And then we just saw that does not include on the page, but that is the name of the page. And then it's also giving you a very good advice that whatever page you're writing, make sure that you choose the web page title very carefully because that is going to be appear in the search engines. Like we did write Omaha here, and then it's going to be appear in the search engine with all the examples here. City of Omaha, visit Omaha. So it's just giving you one advice, good advice here, that whatever thing you are writing, just make sure that you include in the title. Otherwise, it's not going to be appear in your search history or in the title of the page, and anywhere bookmark in the page. So it's very important to, whenever you're writing a web page for someone, or you're just practicing, or you're working for a company, it's very important to make sure what you choose as a title of the page. Text formatting. So as I said, you can make it from different, you can make it a different format. You can just, how we use in the MS Word. So you can pretty much do the same thing in HTML. Manipulating text in HTML can be tricky. Oftentimes, what you see is not what you get. For instance, special HTML tags are needed to create paragraphs. Move to next line and create headings. We just talked about this, that to create headings, it's just, so this slide is telling you that you cannot just write the text and it is going to appear on the website page. You have to have a specific tag. So in order to create a specific tag, you want to know how to create a paragraph page. So we just saw that there's a tag for a P, the angle bracket, and the closing would be with the /, as we discussed. To create headings is H1, which goes H goes to from H1 to H7, and move to next line is BR, break line. We haven't discussed this, till now, but we're going to see some examples in the future. In a few minutes, if we do. I have a, yeah, can we go back one real quick? Yeah, sure. The title tag, yes. And then if you, as I said in the earlier, maybe you have missed that. If you want copy of this presentation, I don't mind sharing it. We can just email it to you. So Kafaya is the moderator of this webinar here. At the end of the session, you can just write us your email in the your email address in the chat box, and we're going to send you a copy of this. Yeah, sure, no problem. Take your time. So we discussed about the title tag. So let me know when you're done. We just talked about why it's very important to understand what you want as a title tag, and it is going to be appear everywhere on the favorite list, history, and bookmark. So it's very important to understand that you choose your title very carefully, and then take your time to decide what you are going to write your title as. And the very important thing, title does not appear in the body of your page. Title does not appear on the web page that you are preparing. It's just for your consideration, that what is the title of the page, and also for the user, who you are going to find your page. So yeah, sure, thank you, you're welcome. So now we go ahead and talk about, oh, I'm sorry, open this again. Yeah, so we were talking about text formatting, and as we said, we already talked about how to create paragraph, how to move next line. We're going to see an example pretty soon, and create headings. So whenever you work in MS Word, you see you have short commands. You have like Control B to make bold, Control I to make it italics, and then you press Enter if you want to write it in the next line. So pretty much like this. In the HTML language, you have all the tags that you needed to do the things for you, and they change. They do the things for you, and they also write the code for you in the website page. So we're going to go ahead and text formatting tags. So there is some example of tags here: boldface, italics, underline, new paragraph, BR is break line for next line. So as I said earlier, there's a lot of similarity with the MS Word. So as you can see, bold is B, italics is I, U is underline, and there could be more similarities we're going to see as we go further. Changing the font. So this talks about how whenever you're writing a specific font, and you can go between sizes from 1 to 7. So it's just going to change. It's just going to change size for you. So yeah, it's pretty much like we did for the heading. We did an example. Oh, it's not here anymore, but we just did an example a few minutes ago where we saw when there was H1, it changed size. It's the biggest size, and when we keep changing sizes, H1 to H2 and H3, it can go up to H7, and it's going to change size for you. And then there's also font color. So if you want to change the font color, if you want to write in red, you can just type the tag, which is font color red, and then you can close the tag, and this is going to write in F for you, and then and examples for different face and different color, and if you want a specific different specific type of font, you can also change that from here too. And this is about the heading. This is the example we just saw in the beginning when we were doing a page on the W3 schools. We saw that we also did an example, and we saw how we can change the size of a heading from H1 to H7, and if as we keep decreasing, the size keep on decreasing, and we can make it use it as a subheadings, and we can use it for multiple headings in the page too. Aligning text. It's also pretty similar to MS Word that we just talked about. Whenever we write a letter in the Word or a document, we align it to the right, we align it to the left, or we align it to the center. So it's pretty much similar things if you want to do when you are working on an HTML page. So you can align your text or a paragraph or a specific paragraph or a specific word to a specific location if you want to. Comment statement. We'll just talk about comment statement in a minute. But before that, I'm going to tell you that, whatever we are learning here, if you want to see examples of this, for example, if I want to see the example of paragraphs, so you just go to W3 Schools, the free resource here, click on paragraph, and then click on try it yourself. So this is going to give you a live example and live, practice how you can write your code by yourself. So there's a left-hand side, there's a code, and the right-hand side, it's after you run them. So I would suggest you to just go through this presentation slide by slide, and then whatever thing you're reading about, just don't read it. Also do practice. And if you want to do the practice, go to w3schools.com, choose HTML from here, and go to a specific thing that you read about. Like if I read about paragraph, click on paragraph, and then click on try it yourself. Do some examples by yourself. Do some practice by yourself, like we did it for the basic page. I hope you can, you understood how I did it, and you will be able to do it some practice by yourself. So try to do some practice, and then try to put a page together, and then click run the code and see how does it work for you. So let's talk about comment statements now. This is a very important concept here, folks. Comment statement are the statements, are notes in HTML code that explain the important feature of the code. The comments do not appear on the web page itself, but are a useful reference to the author of the page and other programs. So what are comment statements? Comment statements are just the note that you write for yourself or for your team in order to refer to the code that you are making. So let's say I'm making a very big website, and I did something specific on a page number 5, and I want to remember that why I did that. I may need that because I may have to change that in the future, or I just want to remind myself why I chose that specific color, why I chose specific headline, why I chose any specific thing. So what you can do in HTML, you can just make a note to yourself in the code. You don't have to write something on a paper, because that will not correlate with your paper. You have to take so much time to find out what did I write on page number 5 specific to this word. You can just write comment at the same place where you write code. And this gets very important when you work in team. Whenever you work on building websites, you never work alone, because there's a website is a very big thing, and you have to write a code, you have to attach images, videos, and so many things. So when you work in a team, you write the code for other people too. You want them to understand why you did that specific things, or for example, and there's another example, if you build a website and then for someone, and they may ask you to change it after an year, and you do not remember what did you do last year for a specific heading or for a specific paragraph color. So you can write comment statements in the code so that you can see why I did that for your explanation. And to create a comment statement, what you do is you write your text between the exclamation mark, and you just write it between the tag. So whatever you're going to write in these tags, that is not going to be appear in the code. On the front end, in the code, it will appear, but not on the front end. So if you want to see an example, we know how to go about this. We go to w3schools.com, we go to HTML, and we are gonna go find comment, HTML comments here. So click on HTML comment and click on try it yourself, as we talked about how we can practice. So this is a page here. For example, I'm writing a code and I just wrote something. I just chose a different color for this paragraph. And this is, I want to write a comment to myself why I chose paragraph, why I choose this paragraph. And then I can write the reason I did this, because this was the reason. And if I want a specific color, then I can write why I choose this color, because I liked it and I did that. I mean, whatever you want to write for yourself in the code, you can write it. And when I'm going to click on run, I'm going to see that this does not appear on the front end, but it appears on the code. So it appears on the code. This is very good for me and for myself and for my team, because when we work later on this code, manipulating code, changing things in the code, I can see why I did that, and it makes me easy to understand and easy to change the code for people I'm working for. So very important concept, folks, very important to understand. Write me if you need any more explanation. So this is about comment statements. Then after this presentation, go and talk about more tags here. So there's an infamous blink tag. If you want to blink the text that you're writing. So there's a blink, just name the blink tag. So whatever you write in the blink tag, that text you have seen, I hope you have seen examples whenever you go to the website, the text is blinking. So you can just use the blink tag to make that happen. And then there's an example of page formatting. So if you want a specific background color, for example, if you want a color, if you want to write something on a background blue with a black color, because you have seen examples that how it is going to be appearing in the different websites. They have different colors, backgrounds, and they have text for different colors. So you can choose it from here. And if you want to see an example, it's pretty much the similar way. You go here, choose the colors here, and then you can just try it by yourself, and you will see how does it going to work for you. So you will see for heading, I have background color Dodger blue. So this is the blue color, and the word is hello world. So this is the word hello world on the background color blue. And then in a pretty similar way, this paragraph is something that I have written, and I have written that on a background color tomato. So it's not just writing, it's just the HTML is just not making a website, but it's also about what things and how you want to decorate basically your website, and what kind of color contrast you want, what kind of text you want, what kind of border lines you want. We saw when we started the class, we saw an example of Omaha website here. So we can see that there are different borders. We can go back to our first example. We can see there are different borders here, and then we can see there are different images. There's advertisements, and then there's also more things here we can see. So that's the thing, you go about it. It includes a lot of tag and a lot of all the columns and rows and everything. So this is how it is going to work for you for different colors and base font sizes and all those things. And then there are more examples here. This is pretty much the same example we did, background color black and text white. And if we want to, for example, if we are working on this uh, on our presentation, and then if you want to see how does this code work, you can just simply go and copy paste this and click on run. And then it's going to show you that we chose different things here, and it's going to be, text white and then color green. So it's just going to see how it is going to work for you. So, and then you can also see, then there's a more example of how to insert image. As we talked about, everything that you do on HTML is all about tags. So this is the tag for inserting image. So this is how you can tag an image from your local file of your computer, or you have it on a cloud, and then you can also pretty much manipulate the size and width and height of the image, and then you can add a border to it and alternate text and links. Links is about how you do the linking of the page. I'm sure you folks have seen, whenever you go on a website, you click on home, that takes you to the home, gallery, that takes you to the picture, contact us, that takes you to the contact information of a particular, website of a particular company. So this is how you link the pages to each other. So this is the link destination label. This is the tag, how to link the pages. So you can keep linking the pages and make a website with different pages. So this presentation pretty much go about and talk about all the things here. As this is a basic class, so we just discuss the basic things, but you can go ahead and ask for a copy of this presentation, and you can write us an email. Kafaya is going to write you an email address for us here, where you can reach out to us with our questions. And you can, ask us if you want to ask anything specific about HTML, and we're going to answer that for you. And then, in the meanwhile, just keep practicing. And if you're interested, ask for a copy of this presentation. Use the it's hello@dospace.org. This is in your chat box. And then also, I would suggest just go practice as much as you can from HTML. W3schools.com. So that's the best resource out there, which gives you all the explanation, and which also gives you time to practice and change your code and see how does it work. And just keep practicing. And I wish you all the best in learning of HTML school. I'll be here for a few more minutes. If you have any specific questions, please write me, and we're going to answer that for you. Looks like we have a question. I would like a copy of this presentation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome. And Kafaya is going to make a note of this email address, and she is going to send it to you. And all of you folks here who attended this class, if you feel like this is something that you need to pursue and learn, just and if you feel that there's some question that you need to ask, just write us on the email that we have sent you. And my name is Mohit, spelled as Mohit. And just write in your email that I have this question for the HTML instructor Mohit, and I'm going to answer that for you. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Looks like this was the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining on this beautiful afternoon. It looks pretty good from inside. I haven't been outside yet, but thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and keep joining us for more classes at DoSpace. We have a calendar here at DoSpace. You can go to our website and go to calendar, and we do a lot of classes. A lot of classes for youth and for adults and for seniors too. So you can join us. All of the programs that we do, they're absolutely free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, you just have to register yourself and you don't have to pay anything. So you are welcome to, attend as much as you want, as many classes as you want, and you're always welcome. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.